Hi, this is Alys, your freelance GIS analyst from Bargara in Queensland, Australia. So how do you use Google Maps Pro to make contours for anywhere? I need to give credit to Scott Lussier. He's a geospatial data scientist from Suffolk University, Boston, Massachusetts. He's the one I learned this from on an online course. So this is a relatively simple exercise, and it's quite neat, and you can get anywhere where there's satellite imagery from Google, you can get some basic contours. So as a sample site, I've picked a place near where I live in an area called Quinaba, where there's a hill called the Hummock. It's an old volcanic natural area, and I have a photo here so you can see. It's fairly flat agriculture land around the hummock, and on top there's some communication towers. Looking at our base map, we can see Google Satellite, so you can see there's houses, and in the center there's the communication areas. So we start off by going to Google Earth Pro. So Google Earth Pro, I'm assuming you have a logon, so it's easy to export. And so I'm going to do a search for the hummock. Now this first step is to make a temporary place and create points with a new path. So let's zoom out just a bit. So there's our area of interest. And so we go down, and in temporary places, you select that, and then you go to add path. Now we're going to add a lot of points in this area, so we get a saturation of points. Now I'm not going to name this until I'm finished, and so I can just start making a bunch of points. Now there's no reason to go fast on this, because if you go, the faster you go, the less points, and you're trying to get a good density of points into this area so that it'll make good contours. Contours are made from points that are made into rasters. And now the relative accuracy is going to be good. The real accuracy, if you were going to survey with a laser, may not be as good. But for basic use, creating contours this way can give you a good idea. And what you're doing is harvesting the elevation points off of this satellite image. So for something this size, I'm going to try to get about 3,000 points. For a larger area, these KML files that are created inside Google Earth Pro aren't very big, so it's not a huge ask. So I want to make sure I got a good density of points in the center so that we can get the elevation. And it's always good to go a bit around further than your area of interest so your contour lines are a bit smooth. All right, so I've gotten a little bit too crazy here, so that's good. We'll bring this back, and we'll name it Hummock Points. And the first thing I'm going to do is save to my places, and then I select that, and I want to export that as a KML file. So it defaults to KMZ, but you want a KML file for this. So I navigate to where we're storing this information, which is here, and I'm going to call this Hummock Points KML. So I save that. So we're pretty much finished with Google Earth Pro. So now we need to go to a website, and the name of the website is gpsvisualizer.com. And the section we're going to go to is the /elevation. So you're going to go to your KML file, So your hummock points KML. You want to create a GPS file, and this is pretty straightforward. You just click on convert and add elevation, and you can see up here the website's doing it, and now we have a file, a GPX file that we can download that we'll bring into QGIS. And so I'm going to leave the data in there just to differentiate it. Hummock points and save. Oh, wait. I'm in the wrong folder. There we go. All right, we're finished with GPS visualizer. And now we go back. So the next step is to go from points to raster. So first we're going to add that vector layer. So we go and we want hummock points data. And now at this step, you're going to pick which one has points. So here, the Z value, we got 4,000 points. So that's the only one you really need to bring in. So we add that layer. And then we can close that. So there's the points we made. So the next step is to go from points to a raster file. It's from the raster file that we'll be able to make contours. So in your processing toolbox in QGIS, put in natural because you're looking for natural neighbor. Now there's a few setups here. So this is the right data. We don't want the FID, we want ELE for elevation. The output extent, we're going to calculate from our hummock points. The cell size, we want 5 meters. So to get that, you go 0.1234005. The method Simpson, that's a good one to leave. Now I recommend not saving to a temporary file, but actually save to a file. And we navigate to the area. And we're going to call this hummock points raster. And there we are. So I'm putting this in QGIS video. And everything looks okay, so we run it. So there's the raster. Now the default for this is the high points are going to be light colored and the lower points are darker. So the next step is to make the contours. So we go to a raster extraction method. So we go raster, extraction, contours. So we're putting the raster as input. There's only one band. I want 5 meter contour lines. We're using elevation. The offset, we don't need the set. But here again, I recommend that you save to a regular file in the area that you're doing it. So this is creating a shape file. So I'm going to call this hummock contour 5 meters. And then I run it. And it adds it. So you can see here we have some contours. Now I'm going to rerun this so you can just go in and change parameters so I can get a 1 meter contour as well. And so I just go back up here and set this to 1 meter. Now I need to save that to a file name, otherwise it'll overwrite the 5 meter one. So actually the fastest way is just to go in there and put 1 meter. So we have that at 1 meter, hummock raster, and we run. We can close that one. So these are the two rasters that we've created. So if I can turn this off, and we can actually turn off the points and put on the satellite image, we can see how that looks over there. So let's change the symbology a little bit. So let's start with the 5 meter contours. Let's make that yellow. And 0.5, apply. And so those are heavier lines. And we also want to label them. So this is going to go to single label. It's always good to use something other than Calibri so you don't look like a beginner. Use bold. 10 is okay. Points, let's make this the same color as the line. And we apply that and okay. So it looks like we have some 20 meter and 30 meter. Oh, common mistake. I made a mistake. On the labeling, I picked ID. Need to pick elevation. Lesson learned. Okay, so we have some 30 meter, 5 meter apart, and it goes up to 100. So let's make some symbology for the 1 meter. So let's change the color. Let's make it, let's see, how about a bit of an orange? And we'll leave the line the same thickness. And then we want to label it also. And remember, we want elevation. And Calibri again. We might as well go bold so it stands out over the imagery. And we can apply that. Let's make the same color, orange, apply. So you can play around with various labeling techniques, but this shows, so we have up to 104 meter elevation, and we have over on this side some 30, and it's even lower over on this side where we get down to 25. Now normally you would clean those up because you don't need those. You're mostly interested in this hummock area. One thing that's good to do is to look at the points data, look at your attributes, and here you can see the elevation. And if you sort that, the elevation goes from 18 meters, and the highest one in the points went up to 104.8. And that shows that we have 4,145 points. So that's how you make contours from Google Maps Pro, and you can make contours for anywhere. This is Alys Wall, your freelance GIS analyst from Bargara, Queensland.